longer and longer, Con.
Yeah. Piss you off. And it's like, it's not 20 quid as we thought, Mike, or something like that. Something like 140 quid or something like that.
I don't know if it's just my screen, perhaps, but my arm looks as it was coming over the background of UKIP on my picture.
No, it's okay here.
Yeah, so now Kipper's below me in my picture, and you're to my right. But there's my black sleeve here is coming over the black bit on the top of his thing.
All right, nice. You
So
get
looks I'm leaning on the top of his whatever it is.
Yeah, you're getting double coverage.
What's that behind you, Kip? I'm trying to work it out.
Behind me is the
kitchen, the wall.
It's a window. There's my legs. Right. There's a clock up there, and there's all the IKEA boxes.
Right. It is now. Yeah, no. It looked like with the wood on the side, it looked like a sort of wooden surfboard or something. It's standing up behind you.
Those are the days.
Right.
So what else, boys?
Have you had any wild plans about going back into water this year, Kip?
I have, definitely, because I'm going to reduce my working hours and increase my leisure time.
Oh, that's good news. I'm amazed. I'm stoked for you.
I've come into the parallel universe again.
Yeah,
this is not the Kipper I know.
This is not the same as the first part of Silver Surfers at all.
Yeah, you'd be drinking whiskey in a minute and eating steak.
Could be. You never know. You luck. Well, talking of whiskey, my son's just come back from Japan where he did a shoot for a Japanese whiskey company celebrating their 100 years. And the bottles they were selling were £1,000 each. And the thing is, he said, what would you do with £1,000 bottle of whiskey? Would you actually drink it, or would you actually keep it for some day in the future?
Investment.
You know? What would you do?
Yeah, a bit of a shame if you kept it and there was a bit of a nuclear war or something, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's like people collect these things, and you know.
The thing is, when you sell it, it's a bit like Sam's number plates, isn't it? Does he keep it forever and take it with him, or does he think, "Oh no, I'll get 11,000 and go to Acapulco for a few weeks"?
But it's the same as with paintings. It's a new currency. Remember, bitcoins. People buy paintings not for the art. They buy it because it's worth so much, and if they buy it, well, they'll get more than their money back on it.
There's two sides to that, though. People do buy paintings because they just keep them and enjoy looking at them.
Yeah.
And then you do buy people who are speculative, who will buy them to sell.
Yeah.
You know, I got a friend of mine who's an artist, and these paintings go for about $3,000 each. And people who buy them tend to keep them. They don't often come back on the market.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I'm talking about the paintings that sell for $1 million.
Oh, well,
nobody wants £1 million worth of pleasure from looking at it. They more likely keep it in a safe somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of private dealers do, don't they? Look at all Hitler's paintings that they got stored away somewhere. That they're all the private collectors.
How was that one? Just after the war had finished, right? Goring, or just before the war finished, Goring was hightailing it out of Berlin, right? It's a true story. I heard it the other day. And he's got about 40 wagons, lorries, with all his servants and his serving maids and everything. And he's it's just filled with treasure, art, gold, money, 40 lorries of it. Yet he got caught going down, trying to get it all down to the south of Germany, into Munich, that area, like. How was that? And they reckon he was the biggest thief of all the Nazi bastards.
When you said Goring, then my ears went up, and I thought, because my uncle was in the RAF and he was in Germany for quite a while. And after the war ended, he struck up correspondence with, I got mixed up Goring with Rommel.
Mm-hmm.
And Rommel was a big wheel. So I just dived into my little drawer, and I dug out a Deutschmark, which I used to keep I used to do battle reenactment things with a friend of mine. And at the time, we were the Germans. So I've got a full-on German officer's uniform, and I used to wear a monocle and the whole thing. I rode around in the sidecar, and he was the rider. But I had this letter which my uncle had from Rommel's. It was from Rommel, and here's a German Deutschmark, which I sort of kept.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the letter, which has got Rommel's signature on it, and because my uncle was in correspondence with him about one aspect of something that happened in the war. So there's the letter with Rommel's signature on the bottom,
Yeah.
And I thought
Talk about Rommel was
he was Africa, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my grandfather was in the Desert Rats, the eighth Africa go, the Desert Rats in the desert, well, in Tunisia or whatever it was, or Algeria, and he's the stories used to come up with, and you say, "Go on, tell us about Rommel." I'm not going to talk about that bastard. He ambushed us. He ambushed us.
Oh, my uncle used to tell. He had a real dry wit about him anyway, but he used to tell me stories. And they would, now he used the term more likely derogatory. Now I thought it was towards the Italians, but he referred to them as the wops.
That's the Italians, yeah.
Yeah, the wops,
Yeah.
And he always used to tell me they were in this old bombed out church at one point, and over the wall and rolling came this grenade, and so quickly one of the guys picked it up and threw it back out over the wall. And of course it went off, and the wall went down on the people who just thrown it,
Mm.
Yeah, the wops was a term he used to use,
I was watching Antiques Roadshow earlier on, and there was a husband and wife, and they had her grandfather's bar of medals, right?
Yeah.
And on the bar of medals was the Victoria Cross.
Yeah.
And the expert said, in all his time of being on the Antiques Roadshow, nobody had ever brought on a Victoria Cross. And he went through, because apparently when you were awarded a Victoria Cross, the guy who was in charge of you wrote a letter, or the citation as they called it,
Yeah.
which what he was awarded the Victoria Cross for. And he must have been one hell of a bloke. But and it wasn't posthumously, he survived. And when he finished reading the citation of what he'd done, he said, now it comes to value. And there was a load of other medals as well, but obviously this was the biggie. And he said, no doubt, I don't know what you'll do, type of thing. And they said, oh, it'll be going straight back to the bank and be kept safe in there. And he said, well, I'll tell you that the Victoria Cross on its own is worth between £200,000 and £300,000.
Yeah.
And you think, yeah, it's family history, but at some point somebody's going to say, well, he was my great grandfather or whatever, but I need 300 grand.
And do we want to pay £200 a year to keep it in a bank somewhere?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen, isn't it? I mean,
It's
like us, we got stuff that we keep for sentimental purposes, but I know after my day, my son will be here and it'll all go in the incinerator.
No, absolutely.
We had that discussion today about the stuff we've got, and I said, "Well,
I know. I've just been having a clear out of the kitchen and my shelves and things, and I collect espresso cups, so I got them in cabinets and things. And in the kitchen there was one rack of shelves with the espresso cups on the top, but then underneath was a number of things. And there was one particular mug of mine, which when Kim moved house, it disappeared. It was it's a Harley mug. It's a Dali version of of a bike.
Dali Harley.
Harley Harvardson, yeah, and it's on a mug, and I've got the T-shirt, I got the poster, and I got the actual mug, and Simon Drew, the artist down in Devon Way, does them all, and so I couldn't find this mug anywhere, and at one point, Kim's son was round doing the dishes years ago now, and I actually dropped my mug, and it broke, but little did I know. They managed to get it replaced, and they replaced it exactly as was, same one with the thing on it, and actually glazed into the handle just there was "Sorry Sam," that they broke, and it was actually, it had been made with that on it, and I'd lost it, and then when I'm clearing out all my stuff, I kept the broken one and I glued it back together. And I just, my eyes must have glazed past it, and tucked in behind it was the good one. And I couldn't believe, I said to Kim, what happened to that mug of mine? Where's it gone? It should have surfaced by now. So I just sort of said to her, look, I just found this afternoon, I found my mug. It was hiding behind the broken one.
Yeah. Talking about your uncle, my grandfather was in Berlin during the war, and he kept sending me stuff. Oh, my family, like, he sent paintings and gold coins and
sauerkraut.
Yeah, all sorts of things like that. He sent sort of vases, cut glass, and my father had to write to me. He said, "Uncle Adolf," he said, "stop sending me stuff." You'll catch up in a minute.
What's that?
Yeah, it was Uncle Adolf.
Oh, Uncle Adolf.
Right, okay.
I didn't catch that. Yeah.
Too quick for us, Mike. Too late on a Sunday
No,
night.
I know. I could see the glaze look coming over.
Yeah.
Even from
Anyway,
this far away.
going back to after we finished wetting ourselves with Michael's joke.
Hang on, I'll just put you on mute. There you
go. Are we going to?
Yeah, I
am I going to email this Simon Hedger, or does anybody else want to email him or ring him, or what do you want to do?
Who's Simon Hedges?
He's a carver.
Carver. Well, have we had a word back from Amy then?
No, nothing.
No, I'm sorry, Sam. I forgot you weren't. No, I haven't heard anything from her. I don't know if she's given up on us or whether she could be anything. I mean, but I haven't heard anything from her. But it's been 2 weeks now, nearly. So.
Oh, I've said not a way to what they call it to run a. What's the colloquialism people say? No way to run a brewery or whatever. Okay, so who's the Simon guy then?
Do you ever go through Singleton Park, Sam?
Now and then, really rarely. The only bits I know is the mini Stonehenge going down to the Swiss Cottage.
Right. Yeah, well, you know the botanical gardens.
Yeah,
well,
I know where they are.
This Simon Hedger has done a lot of carvings in the botanical gardens. Some are trees that have fallen, some are trees that are still standing, but presumably dead. Yeah. And they've been like cut off, but they're like, I don't know, 15, 20 feet high. Yeah. And he's carved basically like a totem pole.
I know.
A face and a spider and
there's one there's one down the bottom of the road from me, this school, the male school. There's one in the garden there, which I think was a tree, which must have died a bit. Yeah. And it's a really intricate carving on it. It's lovely.
Yeah. Well, that's the sort of thing that this guy does. So, I mean, by the sound of it, I think
that's what Amy does as well.
Yeah, well, I think we can, I don't know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think we can give up on her. But the problem is, as Michael says, well, he'll say it himself, you can't have any, Joe Blogs knocking 3 bits of timber together and calling it a bench and putting it, in a place. So it's got to be, so this Simon Hedger will be,
this one,
he will have passed all the whatever he needs to pass to be able to build and put stuff where we wanted to go.
He what? He would have passed what?
You know, you've got to be covered for insurance purposes
All right.
to be able to stick something in a public place, haven't you? You've got to have. So I took a photograph of his plaque that he's got in Singleton Park. He's got his own website. But
Yeah.
we talked about it earlier on. What I didn't want is like 3 of us to email him at the same time to
No.
ask,
That's lovely, that is.
you know. So what I was thinking was, if we could meet up with him, show him some pictures, ideas.
No, we don't want
Ask
to give him ideas, Biscuit. We want to tell him exactly what we want, and not going into any discussion on it. We want something
Right.
approximatively like that, for example. Otherwise, it's going to get into the same situation as Amy, and we're going to go backwards to 10 years.
Okay, doke.
I just spotted something. Is the big lump of an upright meant to be like 5 toes or something?
Where?
Well, the big
There's a
lump.
surfer coming out of it. It's a
No.
tube.
You ever see the underneath the leg? Is it meant to look a bit like a set of toes?
All right, yeah.
Oh, there, yeah, it could be, yeah. I don't know. It's something I built up.
Hanging 5.
It's a join now, like, you know. So
It's one of the guys from up the valleys, Sam.
Yeah, lumpy toes.
But I don't know, you know, but it could be toes, you know, like hang 5, you know.
Yeah.
Good one.
Just to sort of, again, this is awkward. Whatever you do, he's going to have some sort of input into it. Yeah, he's not going to just build something that you've done.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, but give him the idea of what we want.
That's the base idea.
Yeah. Anything he wants to do to tart it up, he can, you know, whatever. If he what he's got as well, you know.
Like what you've got there is all the ideas, maybe not in the right order, as Morgan Wise would say.
Yeah.
But that's generally what it is, because whatever it is, it's got to be an arty thing, You can't just have a bench there.
Yeah, well, don't forget these are going to be engraved in, you know, not pictures, you know. So
I know,
And are we going to just refer to it, because we haven't got it's not the thing as before legends, are we going to refer to it so that all the people who bunged in and their whole thing is as a memory of somebody they know who spent time down there, is it going to refer to, just for our purposes, as the memorial bench? Do you think it needs to go on the bench?
No, I just put Langland on the top of it.
Yeah. Okay. No, as it is, Langland.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to say memorial bench.
It doesn't say anymore. It's got lifeguards, got beachers, got surfers, got tennis, got seagulls, and a fucking surfer in a tube. What do you want?
No, but remember the word we put out was somewhere to actually, for everybody to remember people they loved or whatever, and that was the spot. So do you think we need to put in small letters memorial bench?
Yeah, I could do like
like Langland in big and then memorial bench underneath, so they think this is the one that they were all talking about.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well I'll do one up. I'll send it to you, Biscuit, right?
Well, I don't know. If we don't flip and say things and people say, no, that's a stupid idea, we'll never get anywhere. So I just think, it's a good idea to have memorial bench. I don't think we can have it, even though I know it's been said that it was our idea, but I think if it's too surf related, people who don't give a toss about surfing, they could kick up a stink. And why isn't there more about tennis? Why isn't there more about the lifeguards or whatever?
No, we're going into the
realms of whatever now.
The realms
We've got
of
the
whatever,
tennis.
like, you know, we're going into the political correctness and shit like that. Let's just do a fucking bench. It's got everything on it there, like beach huts, lifeguards, tennis. I mean, end of story, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
And you know, when they want to put fucking flowers that are on, or palm trees. You forgot the palm trees. I did get the sun in.
Right.
But that's my
There's no
thought,
dog.
you know.
There's no dogs in it, Con.
I know. I'm a bit ashamed of that.
Yes, because I know I agree with what you say. I mean, I personally I don't like Memorial Bench, but that's another thing.
I don't like that.
The guy may come along and seeing his other carvings, he may completely cut them in relief, sort of thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't know, do you?
That's it. Yeah, it'll be done in relief.
Yeah.
I got it. The Langland bench. The Langland bench.
Yeah. There we are. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
That's across everything, then, doesn't it? You know. What do you think on
The
that?
bench.
Just the bench.
But,
Just the bench.
so I'll email him, and somebody else can contact Johnny Capebeck to ask him if he wants to be, involved.
I'll get in touch with this other guy. What's his name? Wild Boar Sculptors.
Right, you get in touch with him.
Yeah.
Where's he based?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look. I did check his site out, but I can't remember. But are we agreed on this?
Yeah,
design?
we all agreed on that. No
Yeah,
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've agreed. That's what we want him to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
that's our sort of.
Yeah. Right.
That's
And
our.
it would be nice, not nitpicking and wherever he's going to turn out, but you see where the curl of the wave and the guys coming out of it and where it hits the bench. It would be great if they could make it look like the curl ran into the bench, but that might be a structural,
Yeah.
problem.
He may come up with alternative ways of making this, and we may
Yeah.
have to accept some
Well,
changes.
It's basically
Inevitable.
what we want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Can I just say, Con? Didn't you have another one with a wave on the arms or not, or was that something different?
yeah, I did. Hang on.
It's all right. It's just something I thought that if that one that you got there is not successful. I mean,
Like that.
well, yeah, that type of thing. I mean, because he may not be able to do what you want, but he may be able to do something else. So it's good to give an alternative sort of thing.
Yeah, I
And then-
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't deviate from what we would really like.
Yeah.
All he's got to get is a big fucking bit of wood, and if he's doing, badass sculptures like you see on his page, he's going to just rev into it. No worries, And the matter is just finding the right bit of wood,
And our overall cost is going to be around £5,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell him
No,
that.
don't tell him that, for Christ's
Don't
sake.
tell him that.
No.
No.
I'm telling you for when you talk to him. So
Yeah,
when he says,
I'm not going to mention anybody, but
18,000.
in saying money, and I show him, if Con sends me 1, 2, 3, whatever pictures, because as you say, he's gonna want to put his little bit of slant in it, I would think, but
Yeah.
that's to be seen. But what happens if he comes back and says something as basic as this is going to cost you 10 grand?
Yeah,
Well,
well,
find
it's
someone else.
very likely it will.
No, you say, well, thank you very much. You
No, I'm just
We'll
saying.
have to think about it.
What if that happens? And if he says you're looking at about 10, because the two questions I want to know is when can you start it and finish it, and how much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he comes back and says, "Oh, I can knock that out by the end of July, and it's going to cost you 12 grand," do I then say, "Well, we've got a budget of 5"?
No,
No.
we don't say anything.
No,
We all have to
You-
talk about it.
Yeah.
we just need to negotiate then.
Right.
I mean, then
Then
we
we
need
can
to take
decide.
some bits out or whatever, have something different to bring the price
Yeah.
down.
Because you know how much the price of materials, the price of labour have gone up.
Yeah, I'm thinking of around £5,000 we'll get it for, but I think we're getting close to that level.
Right.
I think materials for that, for what you got, for what the drawing was there, which is 3 large bits of wood and a big bit for the end of it. I think probably cost too much. That's why I just mentioned the arms, the
but
curved surf arms.
You think about it now, right? You walk around Singleton Park now at the moment, right? There's still flipping big lumps of trees laying on the floor because they just can't be asked to take them away, whether it's because of the budgets or whatever. But
but apart from that, you've got to have timber that's been seasoned to start with. You can't just work on.
Well, it's getting fairly well. It's been down. It's been there for about 2 years now.
It takes about 20 years to a large piece like that.
So
Start
sorry,
working on it.
Can you take all them things off us? Can't they distracting now?
Yeah, sorry.
Kipper probably knows this. That one of the things Swansea Council to save money, much the same as they like looking after weeds now, call them bee food. They don't collect trees; they leave them as bug homes or bug hotels.
Advantageous.
So they can leave them where they lie, and they don't have to bother with them.
That's the new thinking.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, but there you go. Particularly,
it works for the council, saves them money. That's all they're interested in.
Particularly the weeds, or as they call wildflowers. The wildflowers one year and weeds next year.
You know when